Ditec is a consumer electronics company with various products within its portfolio, which include laptops, cell phones, internet routers, desktop computers, television sets, tablets, and refrigerators. For over a decade, Ditec has designed and customized mobile devices for various leading network providers such as Mcell, Airtel, and B-Mobile. All their goods are assembled at DICE plant located at Botswana Digital and Innovation Hub Science and Technology Park in Gaborone.
Hello and welcome to the hashtag PushaBW Arichencheng Show, a series of conversations unpacking the stories of our local entrepreneurs and their journeys to success. Now, this is a show that aims to highlight the importance of a growth mindset for our local businesses to prosper. I'm your host, Gaona Dintwe, and in today's episode, we have the privilege of engaging with the founder of a company that's a trailblazer in the tech space, a company that embodies what it takes for us as a country to become a knowledge-based, export-led economy by the year 2036. I'm joined by Mr. Thatayaone Dichaba, otherwise known as DC, who is the founder of Ditec, a Botswana-based company that designs, customizes, and manufactures mobile phones, laptops, desktops, tablets, and internet routers. And I know these are just some of the products that you manufacture. Dichaba, thank you very much for joining me. And let me just start by saying you had the bravery to go into uncharted waters. What was the inspiration behind the founding of this company?
Thank you so much, Gaona, for having me here. You know, I must highlight that this company actually started off as a dream. When I left tertiary, I worked for a friend of mine for almost a year and a half, you know, as a lead developer. His name is David Kipalus. And then, you know, I was doing, you know, assembling laptops for fun with another friend of mine. And I think in those early days, you know, Barclays Bank used to have what they call graduate loan. So I got a graduate loan from Barclays. It was 10,000 pula. Then I bought components, and then we assembled computers, and they're working well. I think that is where the dream started. It started off as something that was being done for fun. But then another friend of mine suggested that, you know, you can actually commercialize this. And then I registered Dichaba Group, which was basically the holding company for all these companies in 2005. And then I was doing Ditec, but, you know, just as a, you know, as a part-time hobby. And then I was running a networking company then, which was doing very well. I think the dream got the best part of me, because what I did was that because the networking company was doing very well, I approached CEDA for a small loan, which was, you know, used for prototyping then. So, you know, it started off as a dream, and then dream got the best part of me. Then I found myself now approaching financial institutions to finance the dream. Yeah.
Now, what's very interesting is that we saw the launch of Pioneer, which was the first locally assembled, I don't know whether assembled is the right word, you'll get us into it, cell phone in our country. You know, when you think about the creation of a cell phone, I think for a lot of us, it seems so far-fetched. What made you believe you could actually create or assemble a whole cell phone? I want you to get us behind the mindset, perhaps before you even get us into how then Pioneer, you know, was accepted by the market.
Yeah, I think, you know, the challenge, because if you look at in the early 2000s when the first mobile operator was licensed, and then the second mobile operator, which is Mascom, then Orange. I think this is really where my dreams were, you know, really started to, I would say, to form, because you know, at UB we had a course that was, you know, basically focusing on hardware. But we were not really, after university, we were not really, practicing what we were learning. In other words, being pragmatic. We had theory, which was good, and we also had a bit of practicals. But there are not many of us that actually went ahead and pursued the practical part, being the hardware, in terms of not just maybe fixing computers, but, attempting to make one. I think the important part of this journey was believing your dreams and building your dreams, believing in yourself. The interesting part of this story is that I managed to get a facility from CEDA, and then we had the prototypes that were ready. And those prototypes in those days were running, I think it was Windows, Windows. Our competitor then was Nokia and was ZTE. Yes. And I went around here in Botswana promoting those prototypes. But the environment was not really as conducive as it is today. Because first of all, it was very difficult for Botswana to believe that we can do what we said we can do. I was met with a lot of skepticism. And because of that skepticism, then I decided to try other markets. I actually took a 4-day journey from Gaborone to Luanda by road, where I had my first meeting in Angola. I was pitching at a network operator called Unitel. And they asked me a simple question in Unitel. Why should we buy your devices when your own people don't believe in you?
I can imagine.
Now, the next return trip was another 4 days of coming back to Botswana. Of course, I was a bit discouraged. But, there is a point when you believe in your dream. There is also a point where, which is something that I've done over a long period of time, having a picture on the canvas of my imagination. In my mind, the factory was already complete with people. And the difficult part was, sort of integrating what I had in my mind with now the reality that says, no, you cannot do it. Yeah.
So Pioneer then went on to thrive in Uganda. How then did they end up, embracing this product and now you being able to access the market?
The interesting part is that, for the same device, in Botswana, we gave it the name Pioneer because we were saying we are pioneering an industry.
Yeah.
But in Uganda, we gave it the name Faith.
Oh, wow.
Because we said, look, it really takes faith, sometimes taking steps, not knowing what will happen next. And that's exactly what happened. When we got to Uganda, Airtel was more than ready to give us the opportunity. And the rest is history.
The rest is history, as you say.
Yeah.
Let's just take a quick break and we'll continue right on the other side of this very interesting story. And I certainly hope you meet us right after the break.
I think the important thing, Gaona, is that one is that you must believe in yourself. And then the second thing is that you must believe that the maker of the universe has given all of us some gifts. You can call them potential if you like. But once you believe in yourself, then you start to unleash your potential. So that, because I believe that the maker didn't give you the potential for yourself. He gave you a potential so that others can benefit from that potential.
And thank you very much for joining us once again. We continue our conversation with DC, the founder of Ditec. And just before we went for a break, you were just letting us know how then, you were able to start to penetrate the market in Uganda through Airtel with a product that you called Pioneer in Botswana, but now called Faith in Uganda. I think I want to further sort of unpack that mindset, because a lot of people would get discouraged if your own people don't believe in what it is that you're trying to offer. But you had, the audacity to say, okay, my people currently are a little skeptical, perhaps rightfully so, because this was new, but you went off to another market. I really want us to, because what you're also doing right now, you're very heavy on, the export element of, your business. Perhaps get us into that mindset, that believing that just because it may not necessarily sell here, it will sell in, another country.
I think the important thing, Gaona, is that one is that you must believe in yourself. And then the second thing is that you must believe that the maker of the universe has given all of us some gifts. You can call them potential if you like. But once you believe in yourself, then you start to unleash your potential. So that, because I believe that the maker didn't give you the potential for yourself. He gave you a potential so that others can benefit from that potential. So the story of Ditec and Dichaba Consumer Electronics go far beyond myself personally. I'm just a catalyst that came in to start the process. And there are other people and other partners that came later on to make the story a reality. So when I went to Uganda and they gave us the opportunity, there were lots and lots of challenges. There were lots of failures. I personally carry a lot of scars from my failures. But the different thing is that, after every failure, I always made sure that I show up again. And then the second important thing was that much as I failed, actually one of, effect is that I failed so many times than I've succeeded. But what I did was that, I always made sure that I disrupted myself. Every failure that I've encountered, I disrupt myself. You can imagine there's a point where we were failing financially. We could not meet our obligations. Yeah. And deputy sheriffs were knocking at the door. There is no deputy sheriff in Gaborone that has not had an opportunity to save me. If he hasn't, then he's not the real deputy sheriff, because the real deputy sheriffs have had the opportunity. But the important thing that I noticed as we were doing this was that we started off building a business, but later on the business started building us. It changed completely our perception as perspective. And that is the most important thing. Once you start a business, you need to have a drive. You believe in yourself. You believe that you have what it takes. And you also believe that someone who's in Africa and another person in another part of the world, the giver of the gifts have given gifts to all of us, and there is no gift that is better than the other. And once you have this mindset, then you can face all challenges. You can continuously disrupt yourself. I mean, there is a point when I was busy handling financial failures. While I'm busy handling financial failure, while people are talking about my financial failure, I've disrupted myself. I'm a different person. Much as they're talking about the old me, I'm also listening with amazement.
Now you've reinvented yourself at that point.
Continuously.
Now, a very huge thing that is coming out of this is resilience. Yes. And I cannot imagine how a company like yours could survive, the market both locally and globally without resilience. Because when you think about it, a local mobile, tech market and global are dominated by, giants like your Samsungs, your Apples, your Huaweis. What is it that you'd say Ditec has done to differentiate itself? Or what is it that you believe has kept you 2 decades in now, has kept you going?
Initially when we started, we were comparing ourselves with ZTE. And spec for spec, we were somehow a bit more competitive in terms of price. But I was asked a question in Angola. The first question said, why should we support you when your own people in Botswana, there's no operator in Botswana that is not supporting you? The second question said, what's your value proposition? What is it that makes you different from ZTE? And for almost 4 years, I could not answer that question. I only compared in terms of, specifications. But later on, as we started rolling smartphones, we realized that, we Africans are not consuming our own content.
Yeah.
Whether, if you take your smartphone right now, I will not be offended if I find that you're not using a Botswana-based content, even though there's a lot of content out there. So it was out of this challenge that we realized that we can come in as a company that already have the hardware, come in as a company that will stimulate usage of, and consumption of local content. And then we came up with an application store called the apps. The apps is in many apps. Yes. The apps, in essence is similar to Google Play Store. The only difference here is that with the apps, we are focusing on the African market. We are saying that, right now, we are all excited about the Intercontinental Agreement.
Absolutely.
But we know and understand what it means. It means more opportunities for us as Africa, opportunities to trade amongst ourselves. So we came up with this application with the initiative to promote local content. So when you ask what is it that is different about you, is that over and above the mobile phone or the hardware, we are now also promoting services behind the device. So which is something that really separates us from the rest of our competitors.
Okay, great stuff. We'll continue with our conversation right on the other side of our break. Let's meet right on the other side of this. Now, before we come back home, I'm also interested in then how your footprint has grown beyond Botswana. So where else do we find Ditec? You've already mentioned Uganda, you've mentioned Angola. So I'm particularly interested in where right now, which markets does Ditec exist in right now?
Right now, you'll find our product in Zimbabwe. We partnered with one operator in Zimbabwe where we are producing routers for them. You'll find our product in Mozambique. You'll be finding our product very soon in Namibia, Angola, DRC, Ghana, and Nigeria. Those are the markets that we are currently working on.
And our conversation continues with DC, founder of Ditec. Very interesting. I think something that I'm particularly interested in, and I'm thinking perhaps our audience is also wondering, one of the major challenges that you said you had initially was, being embraced by your own local market. Where are we now with the Botswana market as Ditec?
I think, just before COVID, we underwent through a program that is sponsored by the Botswana Stanford Seed Program. We went through the program. I think it's one of the best incubation programs I've ever participated in. We came out of that program. Actually, COVID hit while we were still, going through the program. But we came out completely different because it was out of there when COVID hit that we started assembling infrareds locally. But prior to that, a Botswana-based operator, BTC, actually, had the boldness to support us. I think this is where Pioneer, the smartphone, was introduced in Botswana. We gave it the name Pioneer. We are saying now we are back in Botswana and we are now pioneering Botswana's market. And what followed later was that a lot of local shops that are, most of them are rather owned by the Asian community, started buying our device. We are now distributing in almost all, local shops, like over 60 of those shops. So Botswana are now responding very positive to the product. I think also the initiative, the drive by BITC to promote local products is really, played a pivotal role in Botswana accepting that, we also have what it takes. A lot of information has been spread about products that are produced locally. And that is what, saw us growing locally. And let me even say exponentially, in Botswana. Just a year ago, we were producing laptops for government schools. I think we did almost 60% of the entire laptops.
Oh, wow.
Over almost 30,000 pieces of laptops. So we have done, and we're doing quite well in Botswana. Yes.
Now, before we come back home, I'm also interested in then how your footprint has grown beyond Botswana. So where else do we find Ditec? You've already mentioned Uganda, you've mentioned Angola. So I'm particularly interested in where right now, which markets does Ditec exist in right now?
Right now, you'll find our product in Zimbabwe. We partnered with one operator in Zimbabwe where we are producing routers for them. You'll find our product in Mozambique. You'll be finding our product very soon in Namibia, Angola, DRC, Ghana, and Nigeria. Those are the markets that we are currently working on. Yes.
Now, when we talk about tech, it's such a fast developing industry. How do you keep up, especially now with such a wide array of, product offerings? 1 minute I'm thinking, okay, we are getting cell phone. We're talking about laptops. We're talking about routers. We're talking about fridges. So there's just so much. So how do you then maintain relevance in such a fast-moving industry?
The key in tech is always to, have a strong, R&D team, because tech is growing every day. Technology is growing every day. And then the other important key is to make sure that you are relevant. There are times when you can have a technology that actually comes to the people, and then it's before its time. I'll tell you, we actually, the apps was actually launched by Reo Lopeng when he was, the then Minister of Youth. You can count how many years back. I think the apps was a bit ahead, because much as we launched the apps then, the local development of applications were not at that level. And only now are we starting to see a lot of content that is developed locally that we are starting to publish in our app stores. So in tech, you have to be learning continuously, and you also have to have a very strong research and development team. Yeah.
Now, something that you touched on earlier is leveraging, on the AFCFTA. Here we are as a country, and a lot of people talk about how a small market we are and how it's going to be difficult to, benefit as much as the bigger economies. You spoke about the AFCFTA and just how excited we should be. I want you to talk to our upcoming entrepreneurs holistically. How do we position ourselves to play, first of all, within the FCFTA, and second of all, to just understand that, we have a whole global market beyond Botswana, because I think that's really, a critical element of your story.
The important thing, first of all, is to make sure that you've got products that are competitive, that can compete with any product. I think for us, what we did, how we penetrated the Ugandan market, is that when we got to Uganda, Samsung was already there, Techno was already there. Actually, we are older than Techno, but Techno was there before us. But when we got to Uganda, we said, please, you need to support African-based products. But we were not competing on the basis that we are African.
That's it.
We were competing on the basis that we have equally competitive product. All that we were asking for was an opportunity. So what AFCTA is providing is an opportunity for us to actually tap into this market, and we see it as a big opportunity, which means that as Botswana, you know, entrepreneurs or business community, we need to make sure that whether we are providing a product or providing a service, we must be equally competitive. Remember, I said that the giver of gifts was so generous enough that if he gave you a gift of building products, the same gift he gave to another person on other part of the world.
Absolutely.
So we cannot say that our gift is small and therefore others are better. So we just have to make sure that we are competitive enough.
And on that very inspirational note, thank you so much, DC, for having joined me, Thatayaone Dichaba, the founder of Ditec. What an inspirational story. And I certainly hope that, you know, our audience as we speak are feeling as inspired as I am.
Thank you so much.
All right. And on that note, thank you very much for tuning into this episode as we unpacked the Ditec story, really unpacking the mindset it took for them to be able to grow and sustain the business to the magnitude that they have over the years. And remember, it is through us supporting our local businesses. It is through us believing in ourselves as a people and having a growth mindset that we can attain a country, a high income country status by the year 2036. Let's meet again next week. Thank you very much for tuning in.